All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday night. Many of you probably watching Friday, Saturday before the fights. Happy fight weekend, pay-per-view season, UFC 307. 12 fights, 2 title fights. Really, really interesting DFS card. We'll talk about it, obviously, fight by fight, grand scheme overview in a sec. First, got to say hi to my man, Big Marley. How we doing on this fine Thursday afternoon?
I'm good, man. We got the football on. I got some nooners on. We got 200K up top on Saturday. So I'm ready to break these fights down with you. I think it's a tough card, though, to be honest with you. I don't know how much I like it. Also leaving for like a small family vacation Saturday morning, so I don't even know how much I'll be able to play, but I'll have at least a couple lineups in there, hopefully having a sweat by the time the fights start.
Hey, enjoy that vacation. Always good. Get out. Got to live some real life, step away from the DFS and the dream we live, but yeah, I mean, we'll get right into it. Well, let's talk some fights right away. You know what? I'm going to screen share. Again, appreciate every single person hanging out. Just before we even get into it, like button, always much appreciated. Subscribe button, always much appreciated. Showing off the stone, which we have over here at SHIPIT Nation. You can see up here, stone for all the sports. You guys probably know the drill by now. One-stop shop. All our projections, ownership will be up tomorrow, fight ranking, slate plan, etc. College football is going on, NASCAR, NFL. No better time, get in the nation, get in the Discord. But the Stone for MMA, a one-stop shop. You see the fighters' names, the salaries. What I want to point out right here, so 12 fights, that's the magical number for me. More the better. But inside the distance props, we have 1 expected to finish. We have 2 expected to finish. We have 3 expected to finish. Every other fight is expected to go the distance on the card. Those 3 expected to finish, minus 1,200, minus 700, minus 600. So we know where some ownership's going to go. All of them, though, are big favorites, 9,200, 9,600, and 9,400. Makes it really interesting. But then we have this fight, which is a 5-round fight. We don't have ownership up yet, though. Will by far be the highest owned combined fight on the card, and I think for a good reason. When we get there, 25 minutes to work, probably hits the mat a little bit, mid-tier. But also a big reason is all these other fights, like you can poke holes in so many of these fights right here, but some of these fights that are expected to go the distance have to be on the optimal because 9 of the 12 fights are expected to go the distance. So you said I don't know how much you love the card. I love it because I think ownership is spread out. People won't feel comfortable in their teams. And because everyone's playing the same game where it's like, man, who really has upside on this slate? You got to pick some winners. But what I'm going to try and do is, of course, I'm going to make stands on who I like. But I think getting pretty low dupes is really easy on this card relative to more normal 12-fight cards for all the reasons I said and 2 5-round fights. So that's my 2-minute breakdown overview of this card. What do you got? And then and last thing to mention, Salt Lake City. Elevation, there is in play. We'll go through the fights, talk about it there, but did want to mention that from the top. Broad slate DFS overview or just this card in general?
Yeah, I pretty much just agree with you. I think Kayla Harrison will get quite a bit of ownership, and then it'll go to the championship fights, and then after that, it'll probably get pretty spread out. So I don't think I have anybody sub 10% on this card, which is probably a first for me.
Ketlin Vieira, no?
I should actually.
I haven't pulled up. Yeah, we don't, but it'll be close.
I'll change that. She'll be under 10%.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like it. I love how you have the initial ownership up. It really helps me out a ton when we go through this because I have my own thoughts throughout the week. But also when I talk through it with you, sometimes you're changing it, getting a better idea as well. So I love how you got that again. I'm staring at it, at projections, ownership, everything will be up. But also just love. The reason I'm going to screen share the stone, significant strikes per minute, the takedowns per 15 minutes, height and reach disadvantage, the age on these gap, just everything you need is right there for the one-stop shop. We're going to go bottom to top like always, though. And I want to say, oh yeah, I wanted to mention Kale Harrison too. So she will, even at 9,800, a tier of her own in terms of money line, minus 1,200. The next is Pereira at minus 460, and all of the wrestling upside. This is only a one fight UFC sample, but very, very good in judo. Wants to get the fight to the mat, dominates there, and is plus 105 to finish. So she will probably be the most popular fighter on the card, even with that price tag, which means there's live dogs on the card. I think no better segue to kick it off with a live dog to start it off. Tim Means taking on Court McGee. We have Tim Means coming in around minus 190. So these odds I always put up Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I update these odds usually Thursday night or Friday morning. So I'm going to update them tomorrow morning. But the what I'm saying on Bet Online, which is live, can show you the line movement, which I really like on this, and I'll probably start changing it every Friday morning now. The line movement just within a couple days. Obviously, UFC, most people bet on it during that week. That's when the most significant line movement comes in. Right there, Tim Means minus 190, Court McGee plus 165. This line moved a good bit just in a couple days. So that's how you can read that when I'm reading off the actual live odds right now on Bet Online. Again, that will be updated tomorrow. Tim Means minus 190, Court McGee plus 165, plus 135 for this fight to finish. Tim Means plus 220, Court McGee plus 425. I've talked enough. Break down this fight.
Yeah, both these guys are towards the end of their career. I don't love this fight from a DFS perspective, but I do think both sides are in play. Means, I do think he's just looked better lately. He's also more dangerous. I like Means to have the striking edge in this one. But McGee is more durable than Means. But McGee is just not a finisher, so I'm really not too worried about the durability on the Means side in this one. I think Court McGee's path to victory in this one would be to grind out 2 rounds on the ground, land multiple takedowns, and then he could score well doing that. But if he's not landing takedowns in this fight, I just like Means to kind of pick him apart on the feet. Means is more alive for the knockout, in my opinion. Means has submission game too, but I just don't really see Court McGee getting submitted. And then McGee hasn't had a submission himself in like 14 years. So I just don't see Court getting a finish here. But I do think if Court wins, he can flirt with 10x. I don't really see 100+ upside for him, where Means could get there just by Court getting up there in age. Means could put it on him and maybe get like a late first round knockout and score over 100 that way. But if I had to put a projection on Means winning, I'm probably putting sub 10x on this one too. So right now I think I have it, 3-star. It might even be closer to a 2-star than a 4-star in my opinion, but I think I got it spot on with the 3 right there. I'll get a little bit of ownership to both sides, but give me Means to win, and he is my preferred play.
Yeah, my preferred play is McGee because of the price difference, but I agree with you. Like the 1,800 goes a long way. Maybe 80 is enough this week at 7,200 is my thought process behind some of these dogs, because we're going to get to them. I don't think many of these dogs have 100+ point upside. I say that, of course, anybody in MMA, you can tear your ACL, Macy Barber versus Roxanne. Anything can happen in a fight, but in most scenarios, I don't see 100+ point upside with too many of these dogs, which reflects in the inside the distance lines. And Court McGee, plus 165, taking some money the past couple days, fighting a 40-year-old. He's 39, but both guys tail end of their career. Wrestling upside, I think, is his best path. Like, it just all checks the boxes for a 7,200 live dog. Ownership should be in check. And the Means side, it will be in check. 9K, his inside the distance prop, his money line. You can find way better fighters in the 9K range that look a lot better. So I'll use Means and chalkier teams because I do think, like you said, he does have, if he breaks Court McGee, can stuff takedowns, mixes in the body shots, the dirty bird, a 3rd round finish, something like that, Fialo performance, that can get you on the optimal. So do I love it? Like, if I'm building one team, I'm probably not playing Means. McGee's my preferred play, but ownership will be pretty low own on Means in the upper tier. Did someone just score a touchdown? I saw you cheering.
Mike Evans got his second.
He did get a second. Wow.
Mooney had one just a little bit before that too, so we got a shootout here.
Mooney and that. I might have some teams. And the Brewers scored 2. Let's go. Let's go. Speaking of Michael W. Brew Crew, what's going on, Ben? Hebrew Cheetah, Sean Sullivan. Hey, I like that. I have Mooney. I got a squad, I think.
Nice.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Still plenty of game left. Ryan Spann, OSP, Open St. Peru, minus 230 Spann, plus 195 is OSP. Also, this change right here, minus 425 for the fight to finish now. Open minus 600, Spann minus 220 inside the distance, OSP plus 400, Ryan Spann minus 105 in round 1. So this fight was rebooked, supposed to take place a month ago. OSP had to pull out due to illness. I know you did like OSP in that fight, and the odds when OSP got that he was announced that he was gone or had to pull out, minus 310 was the odds at that time. Now it's minus 230 plus 195. So the line has shrunk. It opened minus 315 too. OSP's taking money, but this is one of those 3 fights that is only 3 fights expected to finish. Minus 425, heavily favored. What are you doing in this one now that the card dynamic is different than the last time?
Yeah, I'm still going with OSP. I still think the line's a little bit too high. I wouldn't really trust Spann over anybody at minus 240 plus. He was like minus 345 when I looked at this fight on Sunday. And man, I'm really regretting not betting OSP that day. But I'm still debating him, man. I still think there's a little bit of value on the OSP side. But I think both sides are very in play on DraftKings. You mentioned Spann's first round odds. I mean, I like that a lot. At 9,200, if he finishes in the first round, he's got a really good chance at being on the optimal lineup. And I do think the first round is his best chance. I like Spann early or OSP late if there's a finish. And if there's a decision in this fight, it's a toss-up in my opinion. So give me the more proven, the more well-rounded guy, even though he's like 41 years old. I think OSP can edge out a decision in this one. OSP could get a second or a third round submission, really an any round submission. But I just think the first round is where we really got to worry about Spann, make it out of that round. Then I'm not quite as worried. And I think OSP could knock him out. I think he could submit him, win by any method at plus 200, 7K on DraftKings. I think he has a good chance of paying that off, especially if he gets a finish. I think he will be paying that off, even if it's a third rounder. My worry would be a decision in this fight. Probably not going to be the craziest high volume fight of all time. Probably not going to be a whole lot of takedowns. So I don't think a decision will score very high on both sides, but it'll just be a lot easier for OSP to pay off his salary than it will be Spann in a decision. So OSP will be one of my biggest leverage plays on the card, but maybe that puts me close to like 40% on each side. I'll be close to the field on Spann, but 40% on OSP will double me up at least.
Yeah, I wasn't, because the last card was a lot different where it was really hard to find fades. This card, I think it's pretty easy to find fades. I am playing Ryan or OSP, and you like him. Another thing is what you mentioned, that like if it goes to decision, OSP is actually favored plus 600 for him to win by decision. Ryan Spann plus 650. So as a 2-to-1 dog, that's pretty interesting. And for all the reasons you talked about OSP, and like I'm playing him for that reason, I still think my preferred play is Spann. And the reason is minus 105 in round 1. Like that could easily be the highest score on the slate. That can allow you to drop from Pereira lineups down to Spann and leave money, Harrison lineups down to Spann and leave money, and why Tim Means at 9K we talked about has to be relatively low owned because finding 200 to Spann looks way better. Minus 105 to win in round 1, minus 220 inside the distance. That's really good numbers. If he doesn't do it then, he probably loses. But whether he wins and scores 80 or loses and scores 10 is not it's mid cash value is what you're giving up. You play to win it all. So yeah, Spann's my preferred side due to the upside there, but line is moving in your favor for sure. Let's keep it rolling to the next, or to the most likely fight to go the distance on the card. Tisha Torres minus 160, Tisha Pennington. Not sure why fight odds hasn't changed it yet, but Tisha Pennington minus 162 taking on Carla Esparza plus 142, minus 550 for this fight to finish, plus 375. It doesn't. Pennington plus 575 inside the distance, Esparza plus 650. Real easy for me. I will not be playing Pennington in 20 teams or less. She has no takedown upside. I do think she wins this fight though, which is why I don't love it much. But I just don't think she has upside at 8,700. She will be low owned, no doubt about that. It'll take me a lot more teams than 20 to get there. I can get different in other ways. Esparza, definitely my preferred play. Has the wrestling upside, as you see. 3.22 takedowns per 15 minutes if she wins. And the line came down on her as well. Good money line value, good style to win, can get there in a decision. But a couple red flags, hasn't fought in 2 years since she got dominated by Wei Li, and she had a kid. So, and she announced it's a retirement fight. So a lot of red flags there. But the line isn't bad, and she's a wrestler, so she's my preferred side for sure. How do you see it?
Yeah, she's my preferred side too, just because Pennington's a fade at 8,700. I mean, Pennington's the better all-around fighter. She has a little bit of wrestling in her game as well, but she's the better striker in this one. If she can stuff takedowns, she should be able to dance around on the outside and kind of pick apart Esparza, just not score well. And I don't see her getting a TKO either. I mean, the retirement word does kind of worry me a little bit more. Maybe that helps out Pennington. Maybe Esparza looks for a way out or something like that, but I just have a really hard time paying $8,700 on Pennington in any matchup. So yeah, give me Esparza if this one goes the distance, which it should. It's like minus 600 something to go the distance. Esparza is going to have a much easier time paying off her price tag. All she is a wrestler. So for her to win this fight, she has to grind out 2 rounds on the ground, which will be at least 2 takedowns, probably closer to 4. I think Pennington can get up at some point. I don't love Esparza either. I might just X her out too, especially with talking about that R word. Don't like that at all. But she would be the preferred play at $7,500. Pennington's my first X out on the card.
I like it. We see it very, very similar. And this next fight, I see pretty similar as well. Alexander Hernandez, Austin Hubbard, minus 155 Hernandez, plus 135 is Hubbard, plus 155 for this fight to finish. Hernandez plus 210 inside the distance, Hubbard plus 600. Pretty short notice for Alexander Hernandez. At elevation, he's notoriously slows down as the fight goes. And Austin Hubbard's a junkyard dog. He gets better as the fight goes, has good cardio. Hernandez, Hubbard's my preferred play. My pick is Hubbard to win. I don't know what kind of upside Hubbard has in a win. He does throw some solid volume, but I don't think he's finishing Hernandez. Is 75 enough? I don't know. Maybe on this card, don't love it. But Hernandez, I mean, I think he loses and he's the favorite, but he'll be relatively low-ish owned. And I'm going to keep him in the pool because plus 210 inside the distance, plus 450 in round 1. He has a couple first-round knockouts. If he does go do that, he's powerful. He catches Hubbard. He'll probably be optimal. You can leave more salary with him. He doesn't break the bank. Yeah, you can mix him in chalky lineups, etc. Hubbard side, though, man, like, I'll throw it to you. What's his ceiling in a win? And is 80, like, if he gets 80, if I'm telling you right now he scores 80, how much are you playing?
80 points. I'd probably want a decent amount, maybe close to 30%.
Yeah. Which shows this card is different than a lot we talk about because we wouldn't always sign up for 80 at 7,600.
Yeah. But I think he has like a 90 ceiling or so. I like Hernandez early. Maybe first round knockout favors Hernandez. Wrestling in the first round probably favors Hernandez. Third round finish, I think, favors Hubbard. I think wrestling favors Hubbard as well in the third round. So I just see it coming down to that second round. I do think just Hernandez is the better overall fighter, striker, and or wrestler. He has more power as well. So I kind of edge with him to grind out that second round. But it's going to be close, man. I can see it going either way. And $8,600, I don't love that price unless he's going to get a first round or a second round knockout, which I don't think that's too likely. So, yeah, I agree. Hubbard's my preferred play of the two. I'm picking Hernandez to win. I think he can get the first and the second rounds in the books. But if he slows down too much at elevation, I think Hubbard could finish him in the third after a close fight and put up 90 points, and 90 should be on the optimal lineup at $7,600. So, yeah, Hubbard's my preferred leverage play in this one, but I'll get a little bit of both sides. I see me if I was doing like 150 lineups, I would guess I get close to 20, probably sub 20 on Hernandez, and then I'd be over 20 on Hubbard, maybe anywhere between like 20 and 35 would be fine with me.
How much do you think Hernandez tries to wrestle?
At elevation, I don't think it would be smart of him, to be honest with you. I don't know that he's the smartest guy. He talks like he's the smartest guy, but I don't think he gets more than 2 takedowns.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it'd be the smartest because elevation tire himself out. He talks like it. That's funny. Let's get to the next fight. I see a 5-star right here. Only 3 5-stars on the card. This one, and I absolutely love it, minus 400 is Cesar Almeida, plus 300 on the way back is Ihor Peteria, minus 700 for this fight to finish, 1 of 3. Almeida minus 285, Peteria plus 385. Round 1 props, Almeida plus 130, Peteria plus 800. Take it away. Why is it a 5-star? And as you can see, he has 4 stars for Almeida, 2 for Peteria. So my guess is you're definitely going to play some Peteria, but Almeida's your preferred play, and you think he knocks him out.
Yep. Yeah, you nailed it. And I might move it down to a 4-star because it's really similar to Pereira for me. I don't know who I would rather play between Pereira and Almeida. So I kind of want them both like at the same star level because I think it's kind of knockout or bust for both of them DraftKings-wise because neither one of them should be looking to wrestle. So in this fight, Almeida, he's just a better kickboxer. I think over the course of 3 rounds, he's going to be the higher volume guy too. I just don't see it going 3 rounds. Under 1.5 is like minus 115 last I looked. And I do think Almeida has a big edge in this one. If Peteria doesn't get a first-round knockout, I expect him to slow down. But I do think it would be smart of Peteria to look for takedowns because maybe he could get a submission. And if he doesn't slow down, maybe he can grind out the first 2 rounds and win the fight. But if Peteria wins the fight, I think he's paying off a $6,800 salary. So I do want him in my player pool. But I just think Almeida has such a big striking edge in this one. And I think he knocks him out in the first or second round probably. So at $9,400, I mean, if he gets a first-round knockout, Pereira gets a first-round knockout, Spann gets a first-round knockout, Harrison gets a first-round finish, like then we're really just like who scores the most? I have no idea. But I think Almeida will be able to flirt with the optimal lineup. So he's my preferred play. I think he gets a knockout.
You said a couple things that I literally pretty much wrote exactly in the slate plan. This fight is just like the Pereira fight. I look at this fight almost identical. Kickboxers, big favorites, similar pricing, similar props, everything. You don't know who you'd rather play? I know who I'd rather play. The guy at 1.5 times less ownership and the guy for 200 cheaper. That's not like Pereira's getting it because, A, he's a great fighter for sure, but the props, pretty much the same as Almeida. So throw out the props is why he's getting ownership. The name value and the 5-round fight being the main event. 5 rounds is irrelevant. Like the fight, Pereira fights juice juice to the gills so heavily, minus or under 1.5, under 2.5. It's not supposed to get to the championship rounds. So pretend that's a 3-round fight. Should Pereira be 1.5 more times more than Almeida? I don't think so. I think they're very similar kickbox. Like the matchups are very similar. No one's getting takedown upside. Give me the guy 1.5 times less ownership, and I'll be playing a good amount of Almeida. And I pretty much wrote it up. It's just a clear pivot in every single way. And I'm going to be under on Pereira. We'll get to that fight, but I think I think he'll be over-owned because of how good he's done. His props are obviously good, but the name value and the name value in the 5 rounds, and the 5 rounds is irrelevant. We'll get to Pereira's scores. I guess that's my hot take on the card, but he hasn't been a notorious great DraftKings scorer, especially when you're looking at that 9,600 price tag. So, yeah, I like it. Ihor, if he wins, he's on the optimal. I'm playing him. I'm definitely playing Almeida for all the reasons I just said.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I agree with what you said, and I think I'm going to keep it a 5-star for that reason.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it at 5-star too. On this card, maybe on other cards, because you can see it, but like 2 primary strikers might be worried about their gas tank. If it goes to the second or third, yeah, it can bust. But on this card, I think it's a 5-star. This card's pretty tough in terms of finding ceiling. And as you can see, these next couple fights we talk about, plenty of 3 stars mixed in. Yasmin Lucindo taking on Marina Rodriguez, plus 240 for this fight to finish. Rodriguez plus 650 inside the distance. Lucindo plus 315. Yeah, take it away, man. Any hot takes in this one?
No, I don't think I have any hot takes. I mean, unless I think Rodriguez is very live as a hot take. But if this is a striking match, give me Rodriguez, especially at this line. Like if you told me Yasmin's not going to get any takedowns, and I'm betting Rodriguez for sure. I think she's the cleaner striker of the two, maybe even the more dangerous striker. But her problem is she can get taken down too easily, and then she doesn't even try to get up half the time when she's on her back, and she can spend too much time there. So if Yasmin's smart, she should land a couple takedowns throughout this fight. The striking should be close. Yasmin can throw heavy too, but I just think that Rodriguez is the cleaner, faster striker of the two, and Lucindo's the favorite because she is a more well-rounded MMA, just mixed martial artist. If she can land a takedown in 2 rounds, that's probably enough for her to win 2 rounds in this fight. So I'm picking Yasmin to win for that reason, but I just don't know what kind of game plan she has on this one. I think it would be smart for her to look for takedowns against a pure striker. But Rodriguez, she can be active on the ground, like with elbows from the bottom and those count. So maybe she could still score enough in a close fight where she wins 2 rounds on the cards. But I don't know, man. I kind of it's a 3 for me because I just don't have a strong lean either way. I don't have a strong lean on either one of them having like a big ceiling in this one. So I think they're both kind of flirting with 10x, whoever gets the job done.
There's a couple fights on this card that I'm very indifferent to, and this is one. Like, just say Lucindo does get those 2 takedowns, Big Marley. What's she scoring in a win?
If she gets 2 takedowns, I would imagine she gets like 6+ minutes of top control time. I think she'd be right around 10x, 80, like 78 to 86 points.
I like her more. I like her more than Hernandez. I like Buckley more. I like her more than Batista. She's going to be in my pool for those reasons. But I agree. Like, I think the 3 all the way around is right. Rodriguez probably has a striking advantage. Lucindo's live. Her inside the distance prop has come down. She has power. But I think in a pure striking match, this line would probably be flipped. Lucindo probably has success with some takedowns. Can she controls the question? She's low owned, so she's in that mid-tier Pennington range, and she's a low owned pivot. So that's how I'll use her. Rodriguez, a live dog. If Lucindo can't get takedowns, Rodriguez, I think, has 100+ significant strike upside in this one as the dog. So, yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm indifferent. Something that stands out, though, 37 years old for Rodriguez. Lucindo, 22 years old. So 3-inch height advantage on the Rodriguez side as well. Let's keep it moving. Joaquin Buckley taking on Steven Wonderboy Thompson. We have Buckley, a decent size favorite on this card at -214. Wonderboy +184 on the way back, +150 for this fight to finish. Buckley +210 inside the distance. Wonderboy +525. I'm going to throw it to you on, do you think Buckley wrestles? And then so answer that question alone. And then another question. I'm telling you, Wonderboy wins a decision. What is he scoring?
If he wins a decision, I think he's getting, oh man, it's a wide range. It's like anywhere from like 50 to 90.
All right, explain the 90.
Yeah, so I think it's probably right around that 70 if I had to average it out. Is 70 enough on this card? Probably not. But he is live for a knockout as well, which could be 100 points. What did he score against Luque back in the day?
That was his best one. That was the only one he scored over 100 in a decision win.
96 in the decision.
96. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he has 96 in the ballpark, but like high 80s, I could see getting it done if it's a full-on striking match and he just lands with volume. But I don't know that that's going to be the case because you got to be tentative with the power coming back at you from Buckley. You also kind of got to worry about the wrestling. I do think we're going to mostly see a striking match, though, in this fight. Both guys are alive for the knockout. I think Buckley has more power. Buckley's also the wrestler of the two if either one of them shooting. I don't think he does. I don't think wrestling is really in his game plan. I could see him landing 1, maybe 2 takedowns throughout the fight.
He had 4 against Rusi Boyev.
Yeah, I think that's just someone that's easier to take down than a guy like Wonderboy who's just moving around a lot more, hard to gauge what he's doing, throwing a lot of different strikes from different angles and stuff. So I don't know. This is another one where I'm kind of on both sides. I'm picking Buckley to get a knockout just because Thompson's on the way out, Buckley's on the way up, and Buckley's got big time power. And this fight should really hype him up. I mean, if you beat Thompson, go out there, call out Conor McGregor again if you want to do that. And I think he's live to do that. But if I knew this was going to go to a decision and Buckley didn't land takedowns, it's a coin flip. Yeah, he probably loses. So that's what makes me like Thompson. I think Thompson's one of the more live dogs on the card. He is the better striker overall. Buckley was knocked out by Holland. Fucking Wonderboy's a better striker than Holland, so it just wouldn't shock me to see Thompson get a knockout either. So I'm fine with either side. I got it as a 3-star again because I just don't really have a strong lean either way. And I'm fine with either guy being, higher owned in my lineups. If I throw 150 in the Shiptimizer and it gives me 15 to 35% on either side, I'm fine with it. And I don't really care whoever. If it's a single entry, I don't care which one's in there.
Yeah, I mean, Wonderboy definitely a better striker than Holland. He completely he beat his ass, pieced him up real bad. I'm not playing much Wonderboy because of what you said. I think I'm going to keep him in my pool, but Buckley's definitely my preferred side. I just worry like if Buckley is getting pieced up, he's just going to use his brute strength and then like force takedowns, and he's had success as of late. I don't think like plus 525 inside the distance for Wonderboy is not very good. And I just don't think the upside in decision. I think we're looking at like 90 significant strikes. Let's see. I pulled up, besides the Luque fights where Wonderboy went or scored in 94, you said?
96.
He's only scored more than 85 once in a 3-round decision, and that was that 96 one. So he's never scored more than 85 in any of his other decision wins, and that's a UFC bet. In his 3-round wins, 5-round wins, decision win he has. But I just don't love a one-dimensional striker, and I love watching him fight. Like he's an art, and like would I be surprised if he outpoints Buckley, wins a 30-27? No, but I'd rather bet him there. And the line is moving against him too, which is another reason I'm not loving Wonderboy. It's Buckley or pass for me. You have the knockout upside for Buckley, and you have the wrestling upside if he chooses that route as well. So, and again, he can't be that owned at 8,800 because a lot of people are going to want to go stars and scrubs and jam a Harrison or Pereira. People are playing the Pennington fight, etc. So that's my take on that. Let's keep it rolling. Couple fights left. Always love watching the big mouth. Kevin Holland taking on Roman Dolidze. Minus 153 Holland, plus 133 is Roman, plus 145 for this fight to finish, plus 225 inside the distance is Holland, plus 450 is Roman. This line opened minus 155, minus 150 Holland, got all the way down to minus 185 Holland a couple days ago, and then money came back on the Dolidze side. I want to shout out Nate B first. What's going on, Nate? Appreciate it. Hit that like button is right. Appreciate all of you watching live, watching on playback. Like button goes a long way. So line movement's back to pretty much where it opened. Kevin Holland has the striking advantage. Dolidze, I think, wants it on the mat. Is it as simple as that?
I mean, I doubt it. I don't know what Dolidze's plan is going to be here. He's not really like a wrestler who's somebody who's willing to shoot for, chain takedowns. But if he does land a takedown, he's got nasty grappling. And I think that shooting for takedowns in this matchup is what he should do because Holland kind of accepts takedowns. He'll spend time on his back. And I mean, Holland's a dangerous grappler, but Dolidze is good enough of a grappler where I don't think you have to worry too much about getting triangled with Holland off his back. So I hope Dolidze wrestles. I'm picking him to win for that reason. But I think Dolidze could knock him out too. Holland, I mean, they didn't count it on the stats, but Holland was just dropped in his last fight. I think Dolidze has more power than Oleg Jacek. I think a striking match could be close, but I do agree that Holland is just a better minute winner if this fight is on the feet. But Dolidze probably has more power of the two. So I don't know. I could see this going either way. I marked it up as a split decision. I always take the underdog in split decision type fights. So Dolidze is my preferred play. I don't know how much ownership Holland's going to get. I feel like because of the name, he'll get more than I want to get anyway. So I'm thinking I'll be underweight to him, overweight to Dolidze. And I hope he does have a wrestling game win.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where very, very indifferent. But then I saw your ownership at 30. We have 32% Holland, 31 Delete. If that's the case, I'll probably be under 60% total. I have him overweight right now, but if anything with the field, if that is probably what the ownership comes in at. I think it's a really tough week to predict ownership, though. Like maybe it's a little lower because the Pennington Pena side is going to get so much, but we have them really, really high as well. So, yeah, I think the ownership's pretty close there.
I would say it definitely won't be higher than what I have. Probably more likely in the 20s somewhere.
Yeah, high 20s. Yep, I think that's right. And I'm still very indifferent. Like Holland, I think, can knock out Roman. His strikes are crisp, but Roman just slows fights down. He has power himself, and he can control this fight for periods of time, which scares it and I think lowers the ceiling a bit. I don't have a strong lean on the side. I just know I don't want too much of it. Man, that football game's nuking. Sterling now. I mean, I'm live. A lot of people are live. There's a lot of time, but points are scored. That is for sure. Over almost already hit. Wow. Brewers going top of the ninth. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's keep it rolling to the biggest favorites and probably the highest owned fighter on the card and the highest price. Kayla Harrison minus 1,200. Ketlin Vieira plus 750. Harrison plus 100. Inside the distance, Vieira plus 1,500. Harrison in round one plus 300. So I'm not playing any Ketlin Vieira. If you want leverage, sure. Enough ways to get different on this card. Harrison, 9,800 though. Again, one fight sample, but this is what you got to look at. Takedown, takedown, takedown. Dominant on the mat. Can do damage on the mat. Very, very good there. Minus 1,200 means she should probably get takedowns. Early, often, control, dominate, and put up a big score. That is everything that I'm reading with the Stone. That's what I'm reading. Studying both fighters. Should be Harrison all day. Monitor the weight cut. She cuts a lot of weight. Always professional, though, so I have no worries on it. I guess that I'm going to ask you, like, 9,800. How do you play her? How do you get difference? Are you going to go all in? How do you like her versus Pereira, Almeida? Just anything like that, because I think you're picking Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, she's my favorite play on the card. The only issue is that $9,800 salary. I mean, that's just so high. But I mean, if she gets a first-round finish, that's great. She's going to score 100-plus points. But I almost think it's better if she wins a decision because then she's probably got 13-plus minutes of top control time, more than 3 takedowns.
I agree.
So I don't know. I'm probably going to get as much as I can get. I don't know if I'm even going to have more than 20 lines. We'll see how much time I have to build lineups on this card. But if I have like 10 lineups, I'm probably just all in on Harrison. If I can get enough underdogs to get me up to that $9,800, I wouldn't like make it a thing where I force every single lineup to have her. But I think if I'm hand building, I start with her, start seeing what I can do elsewhere. And then if I just can't get my lineup to work, then I'll start moving down from her to an Almeida or something like that and see what I can do from there. But yeah, I think she's my favorite play on the card. Just take down City, completely dominate on the ground because you don't want to strike with Vieira. Vieira's the better striker in this one, more dangerous striker. So just stay on the ground the whole time. And that's what scores well. So give me Harrison to dominate. I think she probably gets a submission or a ground and pound victory in the first round.
Yeah, I hope it goes a decision because, like you said, that's where she unlocks the true ceiling. But I have nothing more to add. A phenomenal play. Just kind of be careful how you play her. But again, so many ownership's going to be spread out. Probably no one above 50%, or if anyone is, it is probably Kayla Harrison. Like there's enough low-owned pieces. Can always leave salary. You can. This is a card where I actually would not blame anyone for jamming Harrison. If you're playing like 10 lineups, like you say, you're going all in. I don't think that's crazy on this card one bit. Let's keep rolling. Next fight on the card, the last fight before the 2 title fights. Another very interesting DFS fight. 3 stars. I see you have it. I agree. Mario Batista minus 145 taking on Jose Aldo plus 125. Aldo, this fight's plus 205 to finish. Aldo plus 500 inside the distance. Batista plus 330. I'll let you start because my thoughts are actually. I'll start quick. I don't like Batista, although you can't take Aldo down. Batista, a lot of his upside comes through wrestling. Similar to Hernandez, sure, he can always bink him, but plus 330 inside the distance is not great. 8,500 is a lot. I'm going to need more than 20 teams to get there. Aldo's the interesting one. 7,700, only plus 125 inside the distance, or plus 125 money line for a dog. But I think he's going to probably be one of the most popular dogs, and we have that. 25% owned. If that's the case, like, what's his upside? He's plus 500 to win. He doesn't go for takedowns. He averages 3.63 significant strikes per minute. Yeah, I get signing up for the win, but a chalky dog, in my opinion, with limited upside, I don't know if I'm going to full fade Aldo. I want you to talk to me, but at 25%, I'm going to be underweight. And I'm picking him to win. I just still don't like the ceiling, and I care about the optimal. So what do you got?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to too much Aldo either. Big name ownership should be there. The line has been tightening on this one. Maybe it just keeps tightening, and that'll up his ownership even more. Yeah, I definitely think he's live. The striking could be close. He is the better overall striker. His upside, though, is a knockout. If he knocks out Batista, he can make the optimal lineup. If he doesn't get a knockout and he wins a decision, his ceiling's like 10x. I don't think the knockout's super likely. So I'm going to be underweight to Aldo. If I'm making 10 lineups, I'm fading Aldo. And I do want some Batista because I don't think he'll be too owned on this card. I mean, he'll have some ownership himself, but I might even be high where I'm at on him. And I do think he can land at least a takedown or two. I think he's the higher volume striker of the two as well. I don't see him getting a knockout, but I could see him winning with grappling, and I could see him winning on volume. 8,500 is not a ton to pay, so I'll get some Batista. He's my preferred play of the two. I'm picking him to win. But yeah, Aldo, I might X him out. I mean, it depends on how many lineups I'm making. If I'm making 150, I'm not going to X him out, but I'm also not going to be near the field. I'll probably be half the field on Aldo. Like, I'd rather have Wonder Boy than Aldo. So I'd rather have Wonder Boy. I'd rather have Marina Rodriguez. I'd rather have Hubbard. I'd rather have Esparza. I'd rather have OP. I'd rather have Court McGee. So maybe I do X out Aldo. I don't know. We'll see. But I do think it's a close fight. Probably does stay on the feet for the most part, and it's going to be back and forth. So I would shock me at all to see Aldo win, but I just don't love the ceiling.
I like it. Yeah. This is maybe a fade fight for me in 20 and below. Like, I was with the same page with you with Aldo at ownership. Like, if Wonder Boy might be 15 and Aldo 25. If you flipped it and Aldo was 15 and Wonder Boy was 25, I'd probably fade Wonder Boy and then play Aldo. But at that ownership and the ceiling, I don't like it. So the Batista will be low owned, and you get some leverage in the mid tier, in the Pennington stuff. Like, he's definitely going to be a low owned play. I still don't love it because I think Aldo stuffs some. But with all that being said, look at this. Aggressive, upside. Not the best matchup to do it, but he can do it himself. So always something to look at, especially. And then ownership we'll have right there, projections. Again, all of that will be up tomorrow, as well as slate plan. I break down every fight, have our tags up there for each fighter. Big Marley's fight rankings, breaks down his predictions, how he thinks the fight goes, his slate overview, tier rankings, break down top tier, mid tier, lower tier, core report, cash on there. FanDuel on there as well, projections, ownership, all loaded in the Shiptimizer as well. No better time. Get over to the nation. NFL, big boy weekend. PGA, swing season. We still got you covered. Best golf team in the industry. MLB playoffs. College football, best team out there as well. No better spot. SHIPIT Nation. Get in the Discord again if you join. We have monthly, 6-month, annual per sport. You all get in the Discord. Weekly does not have the Discord, but very cheap. If you want to try us out, I think you will love it. Title fights time, Big Marley. 2 fights. This one, again, expected to go the distance, but you have it as a 5-star, and I couldn't agree more. Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena, minus 152. Pennington, plus 132. Pena, plus 190 for this fight to finish. Pennington and Pena both plus 370. So what I'm looking at before I throw to you, Pennington throws a little more volume. Pena has the takedown upside. So just naturally not watching anything, fights, just pretend I didn't watch anything. Looking at the stone, I would assume maybe a little clash of styles. Pennington wants to keep it on the feet. Pena keep it on the mat. You have this as a 5-star, but it's plus 190 to finish. So is my assessment right? Why do you have this fight as a 5-star? Are you making a rule to go all in? And what is your preferred side?
Not a rule. I mean, I think the stats definitely pointed out where I do give Rocky the overall striking edge, Pena the overall grappling edge. I think that Pena actually has a better chance on the feet than Rocky does on the ground. But with a 5-round fight and it priced right there in the mid-range, that's why it's 5-star, because they got bad blood going back to the tough days like 10 years ago or some shit like that. And I think it's going to be a fairly high volume fight overall, whether that be striking or takedowns. And at 8,400 for Pennington, 7,800 for Pena, I just don't see how the winner scores less than 10x here. And we probably get closer to 100 rather than 10x for the winner in this one. If it was 3 rounds, give me Pena. I think Pena can do enough on the feet, mix in a takedown or two, get the job done. But with 5 rounds at elevation, when she trains in elevation, I think that Pennington kind of gets the edge in the rounds 4 and 5. So I'm picking her for that reason. I like her to win probably 48-47 in a close fight. So I would say that she's my preferred play, but not enough to where like I'm forcing her into lineups. I'm completely fine with Pena, even in a single entry. I don't even care which one I have more ownership on in this one. I think my favorite Rocky lineup, I probably just want to duplicate it and throw Pena in there as well. So I just think it's going to be a good score for the winner. I could see it going either way. I think the line's a little bit wide too, to be honest. So maybe that leans me over to Pena. I don't know. I don't really care about preferred play, but give me anywhere from like 35 to 60% on either side, and I'm good with that. So I won't make a rule for it to be in my lineups, but I just think that it will just naturally be in most of my lineups. I probably do want it in 85+%, maybe closer to 100, but give me Pennington to win. But that $600 could mean a lot on this card. Maybe that makes Pena my preferred play. I just don't even have a preferred play. I had Rocky as a core play over on SHIPIT Nation. I just changed that a little bit ago because I'm fine with Pena being a core play. So I changed it. You guys go over there, check out the core report on SHIPITNation.com to see what I updated it to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have I'm picking Rocky, but with the 600 savings, like being able to drop down easier, the line's moving in her favor. I don't have a preferred play either, but I will be making a rule in 20 and below to have one of these fighters in every lineup because of the mid-tier, the 5-round nature. I'll be fine eating this chalk. I think you can get different in enough spots. The fucking Brewers, man. 3-run homer, Pete Alonso, now 3-2. Top of the 9th, they were up 2-0. So we're going to get to this last fight. I'm going to get out of here, watch the bottom of the 9th. Hopefully they can score a run. I already tilted my hand in this one. Alex Pereira, Khalil Roundtree, minus 440 Pereira, plus 340 is Roundtree, minus 1,000 for this fight to finish. Pereira, minus 350 inside the distance. Roundtree, plus 380. Pereira, plus 150 in round 1. I'm going to be underweight on this fight. I think Pereira knocks out Roundtree. I think Roundtree is probably the most undeserving champion, maybe of all time. It's up there. Or getting a title shot. No champion. Getting a title shot, I think he's the most undeserving. The reason with Pereira, though, again, I mentioned it in the Almeida breakdown, I think he's over-owned because the name and 5 rounds when this fight is heavily favored not to even go to the 3rd round. Under 1.5, plus 102. Under 2.5, minus 225. A second-round knockout might not be enough. You go to Alex Pereira's game logs, we have 87, 87, 110, 92, 67, 98, 110, 107. Sure, 110 might be enough. It might not at 9,600, though. I much prefer 200 more for Harrison. I prefer the ownership discount for Almeida for 200 less. I'll be underweight on this fight. And Roundtree, he'll be in the pool because when he wins, he'll break the slate and leverage off of Pereira, but I still don't love that either. What you got?
Yeah, Pereira's just a much better striker overall. He's probably going to knock Roundtree out. If he doesn't knock him out, he probably wins a decision. If Roundtree wins, it's a knockout. He's got big-time power. So I'll keep him in the pool because I think he's somewhat live just based on the fact that, like, he doesn't deserve this chance, but he's getting it. And it's like, just go for broke, man. Just try and kill this guy. If you can't do it, you're going to lose anyway. So I do think that knockout's somewhat live. So I might even have him as my preferred leverage play of the two.
I like it.
Just for that reason. But yeah, I do think fading this fight's probably the best way to go, and just hope that Pereira wins, in the 3rd through 5th round or wins a decision. If that's the case, he's probably not even going to 10X. I prefer Harrison. I prefer Almeida. So that's probably going to put me underweight on Pereira. But yeah, he's just so much better on the feet. So I have to pick him to win. And he can win by knockout in any round, or he could win just a clear 50-45. 50-45 is probably not going to cut it, especially if he's not landing takedowns, which I doubt that he does. Maybe he lands 1, possibly 2. I don't think he does a whole lot with them. So give me Pereira to win, probably score 92 points and just not make it. So that's how I see it going down. But I mean, it just wouldn't completely shock me to see Roundtree get the craziest championship win of all time.
4-2. Oh my gosh, Greg's. It wouldn't surprise me either because it's two powerful strikers. Like minus 460 isn't crazy for a line. And Pereira could get a round 1 knockout and still not be optimal if Harrison just nukes or some of these other people too. So I just think he's going to be overowned. I think he wins. I hope this fight busts. Is how I'm going to be playing it. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here, Big Marley? 12 fights, pay-per-view, big prizes. Love talking this with you, and I think it's a pretty tough card.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well for us. Good luck to you and your Brewers. Good luck to you on this card. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
Yeah, Brewers need a lot of luck. So hopefully you're watching this Friday or Saturday on playback, and they made a great comeback in the bottom of the 9th. But that's going to do it for us. Great stuff as always, Big Marley. Good luck this weekend. Enjoy that family vacation. Put that phone down a little bit. Enjoy it with the fam. Let's win some money this week. Good luck, everybody. Head over to ShipItNation.com for Big Marley on Titletown. Peace. Be safe.